Good day, class. For this video, we will be discussing moment of a force about a point. This is a topic in statics of rigid bodies. The turning effect of the force on the body on which it is acting is measured by the moment of a force. The moment of a force depends on the magnitude of the force and the distance from the axis of rotation. The moment of the force about the point is the magnitude of the force multiplied by the perpendicular distance of the line of action of the force from the point. When there are several forces acting on the body, the moments about a point can be added so long as a positive direction, which is clockwise, or anti-clockwise is specified and is considered for each moment. As defined kanina, yung ating moment is equivalent to the force multiplied by the lever arm or its perpendicular distance. Or moment is equivalent to force times perpendicular distance. So yung sign convention natin, class, pag clockwise rotation tayo, that is positive moment. And pag counterclockwise po tayo, that is negative moment. So, pwede mo siyang baliktarin, yung negative yung ating clockwise and positive yung counterclockwise mo as long as consistent ka sa solving mo. So, if our moment is equivalent to force times perpendicular distance, yung kanyang units are the following. We have kilonewton meter, newton millimeter, pounds feet, or pounds inches. So, depende sa given natin na force and given natin na distance. In order for us to understand this formula, we have here our examples and let us evaluate yung force times perpendicular distance natin. For our first figure, we have our point A and we have our force F which has a distance of y. So what if we are finding our moment of our force F about our point A that is equivalent to our force multiplied by its perpendicular distance? Ibig sabihin ng perpendicular distance is 90 degrees. That is our distance y. So therefore, this is force multiplied by our distance y. Next class, we have our second figure. We have our point B and our force F. So what if we are finding our moment of our force F with respect to our point B, that is MB is equivalent to force po natin is F multiplied by its perpendicular distance, which is this distance X. So that is force times X. Third figure, class, we have our point C and our force F. So if we are finding our moment of our force F with respect to our point C, that is equivalent to force multiplied by its perpendicular distance. But as you can see, yung ating point C and yung force F doesn't have a distance. So kumbaga, this is multiplied by 0, so wala tayong moment at point C. For our fourth figure, we have our point B and we have our force P. So if we are finding our moment of our force P with respect to our point D, that is equivalent to moment at point D is equivalent to force po natin is P multiplied by its perpendicular distance, which is this one. So we have distance D and distance L. Take note, yung distance D natin is not the perpendicular distance of our force P, but rather than yung ating distance L is the perpendicular distance of point P. So this is P multiplied by distance L. Fifth figure, we have our point E and we have our force P. So if we are finding our moment of our force P with respect to our point E, that is equivalent to force P po natin multiplied by its perpendicular distance, which is our distance D. So this force is perpendicular with this distance, which is our D. Because this distance L is not perpendicular to our force P. So this is point P multiplied by our distance D. So as you have noticed sa ating figure 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, lahat sila is naka-positive because they are clockwise with respect to its point. But in our sixth figure, let us try kung positive ba siya o negative. So here we have our force P and we have our point F. So if we are finding the moment of our force P with respect to our point F, that is equivalent to P multiplied by its perpendicular distance, which is distance D. And then, as you have noticed, if we are respecting our force F, yung point P po natin is rotating counterclockwise. So, this is negative P multiplied by D. So, review po natin sa moment natin at point A, that is clockwise. Moment natin at point B, that is also clockwise. Moment natin sa point C is 0 kasi wala siyang distance. Moment natin at point D, that is also clockwise. Moment natin at point E is also clockwise. So, moment at point A, moment at point B, moment at point D, and moment at point E are all positive. So, positive, 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 and positive. So, class, let us proceed with our first problem and let us apply our formulas kanina. Number 1, a force of 800 Newton acts on a bracket as shown. Determine the moment of the force about B. So, class, if we are finding the moment with respect to point B, we need this distance or our perpendicular distance with this force kasi siya lang isa yung nandito. But unfortunately, we cannot find it or medyo mahirap siyang hanapin, so we will find another way. So observe po natin, class, we have 160 millimeter na distance which is the vertical distance of our force papunta sa point B. And we also have 200 millimeter distance which is the horizontal distance of our force papunta sa ating point B. We will take advantage of this one. So ang gagawin natin, class, is we will transform this force 800 Newton into its x component and y component. So in that way, meron na tayong perpendicular distance ng ating Fy. We also have the perpendicular distance of our force Fx. So kukunin muna natin, class, yung ating component sa ating x-axis which is Fx. And also, we will find the value of our component in our y-axis, which is our Fy. We have summation of forces in our x-axis, where all right side forces is positive. In this case, isa lang po yung ating force, so that is Fx is equivalent to, take note, yung ating 800 Newton is going to the right, so that is positive 800. And then tingnan natin, class, our Fx is our adjacent side of this angle. So pag adjacent, that is cosine of 60 degrees. Calculator natin, we have 800 multiplied by the cosine of 60. That is equivalent to 400 Newton. So our Fx is equivalent to 400 Newton. Let us proceed with our summation of forces in our y-axis where all upward forces are positive. In this case, isa lang po yung ating force, that is our Fy is equivalent to our force 800 Newton is going upward. So this is positive 800. And then yung Fy po natin is the opposite side of our angle 60. So kapag opposite, that is sine of 60 degrees. We have 800 sine of 60, that is equivalent to 692.820 Newton. So Fy natin, class, is equivalent to 692.820 Newton. So meron na po tayong Fx and meron na po tayong Fy. So let us proceed with our summation of our moment at point B, where all clockwise forces are positive. Para makuha natin yung ating MB. This equivalent to, unahin muna natin si Fx. So ilagay po natin Fx multiplied by its perpendicular distance, and by inspection, yung ating perpendicular distance is 160 mm. So ilagay natin multiplied by 160. Tingnan din natin, class, if positive ba siya o negative. So sa point B, ang Fx po natin is clockwise. So this is positive. Proceed po tayo, class, sa ating Fy. Tingnan natin if positive ba siya o negative. So pag paiikutin natin siya with respect to our point B, that is clockwise. So ilagay natin dito positive Fy multiplied by its lever arm or its perpendicular distance, and by inspection, yung perpendicular distance po ng Fy natin is this one, which is 200. So ilagay natin dito Fy multiplied by 200. So let us substitute the value of our Fx and Fy. We have Mb is equivalent to Fx po natin is 400 Newton multiplied by 160 millimeter plus Fy po natin is 692.820 Newton multiplied by 200 millimeter. Calculator po natin, class. We have 400 multiplied by 160 plus 692.820 multiplied by 200 is equivalent to 202,564 Newton millimeter. So moment at point B is equivalent to 202,564 Newton millimeter. And this is our final answer. But what if, class, wala to sa ating choices? Yung nasa choices natin is naka-kilonewton meter. So, i-convert lang natin, multiplied by, in every 1 kilonewton, we have 1,000 Newton. In every 1 meter, we have 1,000 millimeters. So, let us multiply our answer by 1 divided by 1,000 and another 1 over 1,000. That is equivalent to 0.203 kilonewton. So, MB po natin is equivalent to 0.203 kilonewton meter. Final answer. Let us proceed with our second example. A 100-pound vertical force is applied to the end of a lever which is attached to a shaft at point O. Determine the moment of the 100-pound force about point O. So, stick tayo sa ating concept, class, which is force times perpendicular distance. So, etong force na to, wala pa tayong perpendicular distance papunta sa ating point O. Because this 24 inches is not perpendicular to our force. Medyo mahihirapan tayo, class, if etong force na to ang i-convert natin para maging perpendicular sa ating distance 24 inches. So, ang gagawin natin, hahanapin na lang po natin, class, yung ating distance from our point O papunta po sa ating 100 pound, which is horizontal distance. From point O papunta sa ating force. So, lagyan natin, we have our distance x. This distance x can be obtained if we will use this triangle. So, analyze natin, class. Itong distance x is the adjacent side of this angle 60 and itong 24 is our hypotenuse kasi siya yung opposite ng ating angle 90 degrees. As we all know, if we are dealing with our adjacent side, ang gagamitin po natin is cosine of 60 degrees is equivalent to our adjacent, which is x, divided by our hypotenuse, which is 24. So our distance x is equivalent to 24 multiplied by cosine of 60. Is 24 multiplied by cosine 60 is equivalent to 12 inches. So, sulat natin dito, x is equivalent to 12 inches. Again, class, we already obtained our distance x, which is the perpendicular distance of our force F papunta sa ating point O. So, summation of moment at point O, where all clockwise forces are positive. We have moment O is equivalent to, isa lang po yung ating force, which is si 100. Tingnan natin if positive ba siya o negative. I-respect natin si point O, so paikutin natin siya. And that is clockwise. So dito, that is positive 100 multiplied by its lever arm or yung kanyang perpendicular distance, which is x, which is na-solve na natin, that is 12 inches. So, moment O is equivalent to 100 times 12 is obviously 1,200 pound inch. And this will be our final answer. But what if, class, yung sa choices natin is naka-pound foot? So, ang gagawin natin is i-convert natin siya in every 1 foot, we have 12 inches. So, the moment at point O is equivalent to 1,200 multiplied by 1/12, that is obviously 100-pound foot. So this will also be our final answer. So depende sa dalawa kung ano yung hinahanap. So for our third problem, this will be our practice problem. Ilalagay ko lang po sa ating description yung kaniyang final answer. Before we proceed with our fourth problem, please click our subscribe button if you like contents like this. Number 4, we have determine the moment of the force F in the figure about point A. So nakalagay po dito, this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis, this is our point A, and this is our force F, which is 200 pounds. So stick lang po tayo class sa ating concept, which is force multiplied by its perpendicular distance. So pag titingnan natin class, yung ating force F is nakadiagonal. So medyo mahirap kunin yung kanyang distance papunta sa ating point A. So first thing that we need to do is to convert our force F into our x component and y component para makita natin yung kanyang distance papunta sa ating point A. So convert muna natin class, we have our force x, which is the x component of our force F, is equivalent to 200. And then yung binigay sa atin is rise and run. So gagamitin natin dito is common triangles. So take note yung fx natin is nakahiga. So i-drawing natin. This is our fx. So yung nakahiga din natin sa triangle is 4. So that is multiplied by 4 divided by our hypotenuse, which is 5. Calculator natin, we have 200 multiplied by 4/5. That is equivalent to 160 pounds. So fx po natin is 160 pounds. Let us proceed class with our fy, which is the y component of our force F. That is equivalent to 200. Then common triangles pa din tayo. Drawing natin si fy, that is our fy. So based dito, fy is nakatayo. Yung nakatayo din dito is si 3. So let us multiply this one by 3 divided by our hypotenuse, which is 5. Let's calculate. That is 200 multiplied by 3/5 equals 120 pounds. So fy po natin is 120 pounds. So proceed po tayo. Summation of moment at point A where all clockwise forces are positive. So, MA natin is equivalent to, unahin natin si Fx. Tingnan natin kung positive ba siya o negative. So, papaikutin natin siya sa ating point A. So, as you can see, yung kanyang direction is counterclockwise. So, this is negative Fx, which is 160. Next is ang kanyang perpendicular distance. So, tingnan natin. Ito yung ating Fx. So, pagpapunta tayo sa ating A, this is its perpendicular distance. So, bilangin natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we have 6 inches papunta sa ating point A. Let us proceed sa ating FY. So, yung location ng FY natin is andito. So, this is just a representation sa ating triangle kanina. And then, tingnan natin kung positive ba or negative si FY. Papaikutin natin siya sa ating point A. And as you can see, that is clockwise, which is positive. So, ilagay natin positive Fy, which is 120 multiplied by its perpendicular distance. So, tingnan natin dito. Ito yung ating Fy. And if papupuntahin natin siya sa point A, this is its perpendicular distance. So, bilangin po natin 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this is multiplied by 4 inches. So, calculator po natin, we have negative 160 multiplied by 6 plus 120 multiplied by 4 equals negative 480. So, sulat po natin class, moment at point A is equivalent to negative 480 pound inch. So, this will be our final answer. So, dagdagan natin to class. What if yung hinahanap is moment of the force F about point D? So, class, if gagamitan natin to ng common sense, our moment at point D is equivalent to 0 because this force F doesn't have a perpendicular distance sa point D. Ibig sabihin, this force F, natatamaan niya yung ating force D. And then you will ask, sir, we already converted our force F into force X and force Y, so meron na siyang distance. Yes, class, meron na siyang distance, pero pag i-summation natin siya, magiging 0 pa rin. So, i-prove natin, we have summation of moment at point D, where all clockwise forces are positive. So, moment D is equivalent to, unahin natin si force X, tingnan natin kung positive ba siya o negative. So, papaikutin natin siya sa ating point D. And as you can see, counterclockwise po siya, so this is negative 160. Next is its perpendicular distance. So, nalagyan ko na ng label. Ito yung ating perpendicular distance of Fx. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 inches. Proceed po tayo sa ating force Fy. Tingnan natin if negative ba siya o positive. So, papaikutin natin siya sa ating point D. And as you can see, that is clockwise. So, Fy po natin is positive 120 multiplied by its perpendicular distance. So, tingnan natin, ito yung ating Fy. Pupuntahin natin kay point D. So, this is its perpendicular distance. So, bilangin natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, 120 multiplied by 8 inches. So, calculate natin siya, class. We have negative 160 multiplied by 6 plus 120 multiplied by 8 is equivalent to 0. So, sulat natin, class, moment at point D is equivalent to 0. So, we already proven na 0 talaga yung ating moment at point D. Again, by observation, makikita mo na yung moment at point D is 0 kasi yung force F natin na nakadiagonal doesn't have any distance papunta sa point D. So, dagdagan pa natin, class, what if yung hinahanap natin is moment of the force F about point O? So, solve natin, class, summation of moment at point O where all clockwise forces are positive. So, again, na-convert na po natin yung ating force F into our force X and force Y. So, ilagay po natin dito, moment at point O is equivalent to, unahin natin si force X. Tingnan po natin, class, if positive pa siya o negative. So, pag paiikutin natin siya sa ating point O, that is counterclockwise. So, ilagay natin dito, negative 160, kasi counterclockwise siya, multiplied by its lever arm. So, as you can see here, yung ating perpendicular distance is this one. Ito yung ating force X, ito yung ating point O. So, this is perpendicular. So, bilangin natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is multiplied by 6. So, let us proceed sa ating force Y. So, tingnan natin kung positive ba siya o negative. Ito yung Fy natin, ito yung 0. So, as you can see, hindi po siya makakaikot kasi papuntang itaas siya, then yung ating point O is matatamaan. Or sa madaling salita, walang distance yung ating Fy papunta kay point O. So, ilagay pa din natin, for example, positive Fy natin is 120 multiplied by 0. So, calculator natin, that is negative 160 multiplied by 6 plus 120 multiplied by 0. That is equivalent to negative 960 pound-inch. So, moment at point O is equivalent to negative 960 pound-inch. And this will be our final answer. So, let us proceed, class, with our last problem. In the figure, assuming counterclockwise moments as positive, compute the moments of force F, which is equivalent to 200 kilograms, and force P, which is 165 kilograms. About point A. So, as you have noticed, class, binigyan tayo ng dalawang forces, and then hahanapin po daw natin yung moment at point A. So, first thing that we need to do is to convert this 200 kilograms and 165 kilograms into forces. So, F is equivalent to 200 kilograms multiplied by 9.81 meters per second squared. That is equivalent to, we have 200 multiplied by 9.81 is equivalent to 1962. So, sulat natin, class, that is 1962. Unit niya is kilogram meter per second squared. Convert natin, class, into Newton. In every 1 Newton, we have 1 kilogram meter per second squared. So this is equivalent to 1,962 newtons. Next is yung ating force P that is equivalent to 165 kilograms multiplied by 9.81 meters per second square. So 165 multiplied by 9.81. That is equivalent to 1,618.65. That is 1,618.65. Unit po niya is kilogram meter per second square. Then same kanina, in every 1 Newton, we have 1 kilogram meter per second square. So this is equivalent to 1,618.65 newtons. Next thing that we need to do para mas madali tayo is to convert our force F and force P into its Y and X components. So, unahin natin si force F, yung kanyang Fx muna, that is equivalent to, tingnan natin class, hindi tayo binigyan ng angle pero meron tayong distance from line to line which is 0.3 meters. So, gagamitin natin yan. This is our force F. Emphasize natin yung kanyang triangle. So, considering this triangle, pwede tayong makakuha ng rise and run. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 times 0.3 per line. That is 4 multiplied by 0.3. Yung kanang rise, we have 1, 2, 3 multiplied by 0.3 per line tayo. That is 3 multiplied by 0.3. Calculator natin, we have 4 times 0.3. That is 1.2. And we have 3 multiplied by 0.3 is 0.9. Sulat natin class, this is 1.2 and this is 0.9. Next thing, kukunin natin yung kanyang slope. That is the square root of 1.2 squared plus 0.9 squared is equivalent to 1.5. So yung slope natin dito is 1.5. So, solve na natin yung ating fx class. We have 1,962 multiplied by, take note yung ating fx is nakahiga. Ito siya, si fx. So, yung nakahiga natin is si 1.2. So, this is multiplied by 1.2 divided by our hypotenuse which is 1.5. So, calculator natin, we have 1,962 multiplied by 1.2 divided by 1.5. Equals 1,569.6. That is 1,569.6 Newton. Next will be our Fy that is equivalent to, that is 1,962 multiplied by our Fy. Ayan, nilagay ko na. That is naka-vertical. So yung naka-vertical yung i-multiply natin which is 0.9 divided by our hypotenuse which is 1.5. Calculator natin, 1962 multiplied by 0.9 which is its rise divided by 1.5 equals 1,177.2. So, lagay natin 1,177.2 Newton. Next class, hahanapin natin yung ating rise and run ng ating force P. Unahin natin si run, that is 1, 2. So, this is 2 multiplied by 0.3. Next is its run, that is 1, 2, 3. So, this is 3 multiplied by 0.3. So, etong triangle yung nire-respect natin. So, 2 times 0.3 is 0.6 and 3 times 0.3 is 0.9. Hanapin natin yung kanyang hypotenuse. That is the square root of 0.6 squared plus 0.9 squared is equivalent to 1.082. So, ilagay natin class 1.082. So, convert na natin si P class into our PX that is equivalent to 1,618.65 multiplied sa ating run because this is our PX, nakahiga siya, that is 0.6 divided by our hypotenuse which is 1.082. So, 1,618.65 multiplied by 0.6 divided by 1.082 equals 897.588. So, sulat po natin that is 897.588 newtons. Next is for our PY. Take note, run yung gagamitin natin kasi nakatayo siya. This is our PY. So that is 1,618.65 multiplied by our rise, which is 0.9, divided by our hypotenuse, which is 1.082. Is equivalent to 1,618.65 multiplied by 0.9 over 1.082 equals 1,346.382. So, ilagay natin, that is 1,346.382 newtons. So, finally, kumpleto na tayo sa Fx, Fy, Px, and Py. We can compute na our moment at point A. So, summation of moment at point A, where all counterclockwise is positive kasi requested sa ating problem na assuming counterclockwise moments are positive. So, lagay natin dito, moment of our force F about our point A is equivalent to, then tingnan natin if Fx is positive ba or negative. So, Fx, papaikutin natin at point A is positive. Kasi counterclockwise siya. Is positive 1569.6 multiplied by our lever arm. Tingnan po natin. Ito yung ating distance kasi ito yung Fx natin. So, this is perpendicular. So, we have 1, 2, 3. So, we have 3 na 0.3. Next is for our Fy. Tingnan natin kung positive ba siya o negative. So, yung original na position ni Fy is nandito. This is our Fy. So, papaikutin natin siya at point A that is counterclockwise. So, therefore, this is also positive 1177.2. Tingnan natin class yung kanyang lever arm. Ito siya. This is our perpendicular na distance. So, that is 1. So, this is 1 multiplied by 0.3. Calculator na natin. We have 1,569.6 multiplied by 3 times 0.3 plus 1,177.2 multiplied by 1 times 0.3 equals 1,765.8. So, sulat natin class, that is 1,765.8 Newton meter. Next, we have our moment of point F about point A. That is equivalent to Px muna tayo class. So, yung original natin na Px is nandito. Papaikutin natin siya at point A. So, that is counterclockwise. So, therefore, this is positive 897.588. And then, tingnan natin yung kanyang distance. Ito yung kanyang perpendicular distance. So, 1, 2, 3. Papunta sa ating point A. So, this is also 3 multiplied by 0.3. Plus, proceed po tayo class kay PY. So, ito yung original na position ni PY. Papaikutin natin siya at point A. So, paganyan siya. So, that is clockwise. So, this is negative 1,346.382 multiplied sa kanyang distance. So, ito yung PY natin class. Ito yung kanyang distance. Ito siya. So, bilangin natin 1, 2. So, that is 2 multiplied by 0.3 is equivalent to, calculator natin lahat, we have 897.588 multiplied by 3 times 0.3 minus 1,346.382 multiplied by 2 times 0.3 equals 0. So, the moment of our force P with respect to our point A is equivalent to 0. And then obviously class, 0 naman talaga siya kasi pag ilagay natin, wala pong distance yung ating vertical force P sa ating point A. But at least, na-prove natin that is equivalent to 0. So these are our final answers. So that is the end for this video class. Thank you for listening. See you again sa ating other videos.